Hi guys, welcome to Film Companion South. I am Vishal Menon and today I am going to be reviewing Android Kunjappan 5.25. During a long power cut or when the Wi-Fi is down, I think there's a lot of fun to be had in comparing this film to the other robot films like Endearing 2.0. You may call it economics or you may call it ambition, but in Shankar's films, the second a robot arrives, we feel like we are at the center of the universe. Like the after effects are going to redraw the world map itself. Everything, right from the conflict, the destruction, and the end result, it has an outward manifestation. But in Android Kunjappan, like the performance of its leads, everything feels internal. In fact, Malayalam's first film to predominantly feature a robot isn't even set in a city. It happens in a tiny village near Painur where everybody knows your name. In fact, the story it wants to say is so far away from the sci-fi summer blockbuster that you may even get away with calling this film an offbeat indie. And therein lies the beauty of this film. As the film zooms in to give you a closer look of the place and the people, we get interesting characters like the newspaper boy, whose Facebook page likes include something as varied as communist as well as the Ayyappa devotee Sangam. We also get the mild-mannered, helpful relative who points at a poster of Bruce Lee and calls him Mafia Shashi. And when two elderly neighbors make a hilariously formal visit to meet the new robot, one of the ladies asks the owner why the robot isn't wearing any clothes. We also get to see a lot of earthy colors. We see the temple pond, the muddy streets, the old house, and a lot of greenery. It's as though the cinematographer Sanu Varghese has taken a special effort to keep as far away from the color blue as possible. So when the android arrives in this village with its bright blue eyes and its big blue screen for a heart, the contrast makes us feel as alien to this robot as the other people in the village. This effect works even better when we see the robot in the context of Bhaskaran's old rundown house. It has no mixie, it has no grinder, it has no television, and it doesn't even have a stove. Bhaskaran doesn't eat a thing that's made outside his own kitchen. In fact, he's so irritatingly old school in his thoughts and his actions that you really feel bad for his son, Subramanian. We get hints that Subramanian is an excellent electronics engineer, but his father never allows him to travel away and find job somewhere else. But when Subramanian gets a lucrative opportunity to work for a Japanese robotics company in Russia, it's finally time to cut the umbilical cord. At first, the worried son from Russia tries to help his father out by appointing one home nurse after another. None of these seem to work out, so as a last hope, all he can do is return to India with an actual robot. And as this robot enters this house and the surroundings, we get an outsider's perspective on the flaws, the hypocrisies, and the emotions that make us human. Like that hilarious scene where Bhaskaran takes the robot along with him to the temple. The authorities there insist that only Hindus are allowed, but when the robot starts quoting the Bhagavad Gita and reveals an image of Rama on its screen, you really understand how poignant this film can be. Of all the things the robot tries to understand about the human condition, the one word or that one feeling the robot really struggles with is nanam or shame. There are multiple scenes in the film where the robot asks Bhaskaran what he means when he uses the term nanam. In fact, the robot wonders why there is even a question of nanam when one has to reveal one's love for another person. The robot also gives some solid love advice to Bhaskaran, which makes all these scenes extremely endearing. Slowly, as their relationships build, we wonder who is the father and who is the son in this relationship. As Bhaskaran goes along, we see how he's no longer the casteist he used to be. He smiles a lot and he's more open to people. Yet you wish the director had written a few more scenes to really establish the change in this relationship's dynamics. At first, we see how Bhaskaran is against having the stranger enter his home. There's a substantial amount of friction and mistrust, like how any old person would deal with something so new. But the film uses a montage in a song to fast forward to the point where they have an affection for each other. We see the initial bonding and the final hesitation, but we hardly get to see that complex in-between which would have made this film far more rewarding. You feel something seriously missing even in the portions that's set in Russia. At first, we get the feeling that the film is going to be drawing an interesting parallel between the loneliness Bhaskaran feels in his home in Kerala and what Subramanian feels in Russia. But Subramanian quickly finds a very awkward romance when he meets Hitomi, a half Japanese, half Malayali colleague. The lifeless scenes set here immediately take us out of the story, especially in the terrible fight sequence between Subramanian and his boss. The film's climax feels like it has the opposite to say. Even though the film is about how modern life demands that children have to move away from their parents and the effect this has on the latter, it never feels one-sided. The film is just as sympathetic to the son for having to do this to his father, and we also get to see his worries and his nervousness through this whole process. When held together by Suraj's breathtaking performance and a robot we really grow to love, Android Kunjappan becomes so much more than an odd couple comedy about a man and a robot. It's unlike any other father-son movie you will ever watch. So that's it for my review of the wonderful Android Kunjappan. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to Film Companion South.